This episode is brought to you by imdwraps.com. Turn your company vehicle into a new advertising channel like we did. IMD Commercial Vehicle Wraps help put the Sons of Montezuma logo on the side of our new tailgating beast of a vehicle. And they can help your company too. Just go to imdwraps.com and connect with IMD's graphic design agency full of talented designers, marketers, and craftsmen to help your business flourish. IMD are big supporters of SDSU Athletics, and they want to help support you too. That's imdwraps.com to apply online, and a simple e-doc signature to get your vehicle moving. That's imdwraps.com. What's up, Sons of Montezuma? Well, the Aztecs fall to UCLA 35-10, but we can't feel sorry for ourselves. The Aztecs head to Oregon State for a matchup with the Beavers, and they got their chainsaws ready.
Win over Coastal Carolina. They'll play action over the middle, and it's caught there. That's Norwood. 20. He will score. Wow. It's the UCLA team with a new defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn. Maiden's throw. Little back shoulder catch. That's Shaw. Touchdown. Nice adjustment. And Maiden put it perfectly on that back shoulder.
Thrown in stride for the big game touchdown.
Wide open. Loya. Yes. Touchdown.
If you're Chip Kelly, you want your offense to score here to maybe get a look at the other quarterbacks.
Morse hit. The ball's out. The ball's in the end zone. San Diego State. Did they get it? Yes. They can't get 1 yard running it straight ahead. Maiden, quick throw. It's in the air and it's intercepted. Lewisau. Disaster for San Diego State. Unable to get a yard. By simply running it forward, they went outside, that didn't work. They threw an inside screen, and it was tipped and picked.
The Beavers, man, that's all we're going to hear. These bearded dudes up there yelling, "Go Beavs." All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. It's your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego. Thank you guys for joining us, where we talk nothing but Aztec sports, football, basketball, and whatever else we get our hands on. But I'm glad to have my two co-hosts back. We went through this game, and I'm glad that they are both joining me here. He is protecting our borders from sea to shining sea, and he's here with me. What's going on, K5 James? How are you doing?
What's up, man? Good to be here.
And of course, the dirtiest of the Dans, Dan,
yo.
the man himself. What is going on, Dirt Ball Dan?
Yo.
All right, I'm gonna open it up because Dan hit this game right on the head. You know, last week we were going through all our Warriors of the Week, all of our score predictions, and you know, me and James were the homers. But Dan, you pretty much called it, so I want to open the floor. What was your immediate reaction watching this game, and then maybe even, I don't know if you rewatched it when you went home, or how do you feel coming off of this 35-10 loss to the UCLA Bruins?
Like I was telling you guys a second ago, it didn't really hit me that hard like it seems to be hitting other people when I go to the message boards and I talk to fans, or I'm sure Facebook's crazy, whatever it is. I had such low expectations with the game that I went in there just to have fun, enjoying it. It was kind of cool to have UCLA there. It was a good crowd. I wasn't expecting much. I thought our defense would be a little bit better than what it was. And then there were some, momentum changing plays that really hurt San Diego State. But when you watch that game, you just felt like UCLA was a better team, better athletes.
Yeah, I definitely felt that, just the eyeball test, you just sizing up everybody out there on the field. We were talking, you were saying, man, Coach C is really giving, the Aztecs, he's feeling pretty favorable towards the Aztecs in this game. I'm like, okay, I think we all underestimated UCLA's front line big time. I mean, those boys were big when you saw them out on the field, and they were very, very active. James, I know you're an interior guy. What did you think? Your reactions off of this 35-10 loss to UCLA?
Yeah, man, we knew their edge guys were really good, but their interior guys were awesome too, man. They pretty much shut down the running game. And also it kind of seemed like that we tried to run wide a lot, and there was no way you're going to run wide against that defense with the way those guys run around and the way their edge guys are. So yeah, that was just, there was, anytime we'd get a little bit of momentum, we tried like a run, and there'd be a big tackle for loss that would throw us behind the downs and put us in a bad position offensively. The offense isn't really built to play like that. Kind of, we all thought they had to play like a perfect game for us to have a chance in this game. And they played far from a perfect game. So there's just a lot of mistakes on defense, and then dumb mistakes on offense. A lot of guys coming in unblocked on running plays. So yeah, it was a tough game to watch. Just because, I was hoping for a win. I wasn't expecting a win, but I was expecting a better performance and a closer game. And I went and rewatched the first half today because I couldn't stomach watching the whole second half because there's nothing really happened in the second half anyway. And it kind of gave me a little hope. Like there's some things there, like I said, a lot of breakdowns on defense that allowed big plays. And then some things on offense, like passes that were just missed, stuff like that. Running plays that were kind of set up, but one guy just completely missed the block, whiffed on a guy, did like the wrong assignment. And guys coming through unblocked and stopping the play in the backfield. So stuff like that, I think that's things that can be corrected in a week and hopefully put out a better performance this week coming up against Oregon State. But my one saving grace when I project the season going forward is luckily the Mountain West doesn't appear to be super strong this year. So, I mean, we could still contend in the Mountain West. It's just at a national level, we can put this season to bed.
I mean, it was like the first play of the game. We handed off to Kristen, and before he can even make a move, somebody's in the backfield taking him down, wrapping his legs up. And that was just a precursor of how the game pretty much went the whole rest of the game. The rushing attack, I mean, we didn't even get, 70 yards rushing? Not even?
I mean, honestly, the UCLA skill positions, they're pretty dynamic. The running backs, that white running back, whoever the hell that kid was, dude, I don't even know, but he seemed to kill us like in the flat, and always will get the extra 2 or 3 yards to keep the drive going. The wide receivers, big plays, explosive. Oh man, that's if you look at our offense, that's what we really lack. We lack those dynamic athletes out wide, the game changers, the home run hitters. We've had them in the past, and I don't really. I mean, I guess Christians are one. Besides that, like who's our one that's going to change the projection of the game? Besides Maiden on a run or something. UCLA had so many skilled players, and their fourth wide receiver killed us. Like it's okay to just acknowledge that another team's better. Like when you talk about having to play the perfect game, UCLA didn't have to play the perfect game.
Yeah, and they didn't. You know what I mean? That was the crazy part. I mean, their freshman 5-star quarterback Moore, he was impressive. He made some big boy throws throughout the game. But like you said, their skill position, they're just bigger. They're just faster. They were running us over a lot of times, in these big holes that the line created. And then, you obviously see them like that kid Steele, I think is his name. He's the transfer from, I think from Ball State, right? And
yeah, Ball State.
I mean, he was just trucking guys over. It's just like a physical mismatch in a lot of areas. But like one of the talk in the Illuminati was like, okay, well, we've been undersized against opponents before, against these Pac-12 or Power 5 schools before, and it hasn't stopped us from winning then. But yeah, I think there is a significant difference. I think we see, from some of those teams. A lot of Simon errors. These guys were just wide open, streaking down the middle of the field, getting a wide open pass, and there's no way you're going to catch up to them if they're wide open.
I think there's a big difference in the situations, though. We've always been undersized, but usually our skill positions were about the same level or better in some cases. So that kind of allows you to be a little undersized up front and still make things happen because you have guys in the skill positions that can make things happen. So I think that's the biggest difference between this team and other teams that have gone into Pac-12 or Power 5 opponents and upset them, is we had better, more athletic players at the skill positions to kind of even the playing field.
And then Matt, there's like when you compare the teams in the past versus this team, the defensive line. I mean, just the talent difference. Like our defensive line. I mean, Tavai, Cameron Thomas, Keyshawn Banks. Like dude, they were loaded, and it's one thing to be small and quick and explosive, but if you're smaller and you're not that quick and you're not that explosive, I mean, it's not going to be the easiest thing to do.
That second quarter was really the big quarter for the Bruins because, they score first on just a completely wide open receiver. He streaks all the way down. I think it was like 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. And then we answered back. Mekhi Shaw had, if we want to talk about the good, that play was pretty awesome. It was behind the shoulder or whatever you want to call it, pass from Maiden. And Mekhi, got his hands on it, muscled his way into the end zone. Like that was very impressive to see from Mekhi. I mean, he's put on a lot of weight, like we talked with him in the offseason, and you could see that development in him. I think he's going to be pretty special these next few years. But after that play happened, it was pretty much all she wrote. I mean, 3 points for the rest of the game. And that second quarter, UCLA scores 3 touchdowns going into the half, up 28 to 10, I believe. And if you listen to the broadcast, Aaron Taylor, and they were making a really big fuss about their defensive coordinator and all the blitz packages and just how physical their defense was, and they really were suffocating. But I think where people are kind of close to the edge or to the ledge, if you would say, is just the way that the Aztecs performed. Last week we were saying coming into UCLA, this is going to be the real test, a little more bit of an accurate test to see where this team is and moving forward. And I mean, like you said, James, a lot of those self-inflicted wounds, a lot of those mistakes. I mean, whether it was not getting the plays in on time or whether it was, the defense not ready for, Chip Kelly's fast-paced offense. I know they scored one of those touchdowns after a big play, and then right immediately these guys wide open, a blown assignment. So, I mean, a lot of their scores were blown assignment based.
That was noticeable on the big pass, and then later on the big run in the late in the second quarter. They were both off of when UCLA went hurry up, and it seemed like our guys weren't ready for that, and they know we're playing a Chip Kelly offense. Like that should have been part of the preparation for this game, is they're going to speed it up at times, and that's what happened. Is they sped it up, they throw that pass, nobody covered that defender, wide open, like 30-yard touchdown, whatever it was. And then on the big run that guy had, they sped it up on us, and guys weren't even set, and they snapped the ball. And of course, the offensive line is going to kill guys that aren't set, and they broke a big run. So yeah, that was the biggest disappointment to me. Is it kind of seemed like the team wasn't prepared for this offense.
So let's talk about it then, because maybe James and I argued with Mateo a little bit in weeks past about how our defense is almost fake good, right? Like Idaho State did some things, but then we'd get a turnover. Ohio did some things, and somehow we missed some. They missed some balls that were the wide open receivers. And I think Mateo's point was like, look, you just keep them in front of you, and sooner or later, you they'll make a mistake or whatever. But we were playing teams that were probably low level talent, and we still couldn't really get some 3 and outs, get some explosive plays. So I think all the concern about our defense should have been there the first 2 games. That's why this game, I mean, it's kind of that's why I'm in a better place. This is kind of, I already felt I went through what you guys are going through now, just because I saw those 2 games, and I don't believe stuff like, well, we're holding it back for UCLA, or I don't believe that at all. We had trouble stopping them.
Yeah, on the defense, I don't think you could really hold anything back. Offense, like maybe there's a little wiggle room for thinking that, keeping things vanilla. But on defense, I feel like, well, no, your job is to go out there and stop them. And if you can't stop them, my whole thought on that was like, okay, well, at least they're opportunistic on the back end of the defense. That, you know, interceptions, making things happen. I mean, Cyrus he also had a monster game this game. 12 tackles, a sack, 2 forced fumbles. UCLA only scored 1 touchdown in the whole second half. So, I mean, there was improvement, but just a lot of blown assignments, which I have to agree. I mean, if they couldn't stop those lower level teams, UCLA was going to expose them because they're just better talent-wise, better coached-wise, all across the board. I mean, for crying out loud, Utah State put up 70 points on Idaho State, as we saw this weekend. So, I mean, that's a huge indication. I mean, that's just it's ridiculous to even think that. And yet we couldn't really even put them to bed. You know, they made it a 1-possession game with an onside kick coming. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest disappointment that fans are walking away from so disgruntled about, is because just the manner in which they played. You know, the blown assignments, the errors in those ways. I mean, physically it's one thing, but to miss on those assignments, that's a whole nother deal.
Hey, and by the way, when I was watching the game and we were down like 7, I'd always keep saying, oh yeah, just get a stop here, then we could come down. Then, you know, we were down 14. Oh yeah, get a stop here, then we'll get the ball in the second half. You know, I still had some faith. And then that fumble, you know, on the turnover on downs on the 1-yard line, where I think it goes to 28-17 if we score a touchdown there. Is that where that part of the game was?
Yeah, in the third quarter with the pass that got ricocheted up in the air.
Yeah. And I still have some faith there, right? We get a touchdown. It's 28-17. But, man, what a kick in the nuts that was.
That was a big talking point all over social media, right? Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, every chat group. That play call, I mean, are you guys good with that decision? Because we weren't running the ball. We weren't getting any kind of push. But you got the ball. The defense strips the ball right at the 1-yard line. I don't know how they overturned that to not being a touchdown. I mean, that had to be clear evidence, which I didn't necessarily see, but it is what it was. You're supposed to get the ball in at the 1-yard line with 4 opportunities. The first 2 obviously got stuffed. Martin Blake actually fumbled the ball on that second down play, and he recovered it. But then their jumbo package, Coach Lindley, and unfortunately, when you're watching the game, like, they panned back up to him in the coach's booth. I mean, the clear frustration was pretty hard to take. I mean, he keeps the jumbo package out there, but then everybody, the 4, go to the right. Redmond's all alone, one-on-one up top. And I mean, by all accounts and purposes, the play call was a really good play call. I don't know if I necessarily agree with running that play. Of course, if they scored a touchdown, right, we're all celebrating. But I still don't like it personally, because that's not what I think of Aztecs football offensively. When, you know, you should be able to get the ball in, running the ball, handing the ball off to your running backs at the 1-yard line, not trying to throw it to them. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Are you indifferent on that, or do you feel strongly on any of that?
Dan and I both agreed what we wanted to see happen.
Yeah.
You got a 230-pound quarterback who's a pretty good athlete. Like, we wanted to see like 3 straight quarterback sneaks.
Yeah.
Just let him push it in. I don't have a problem with the play call, because it would have worked if the guy catches the ball. My issue is, look, I'm not trying, and you may even want to cut this out if you want, Mateo, but why isn't it Armstead or even Kristen, like one of your 2 backs that have shown they can do things? There's a clear talent difference between Armstead and Kristen, and even a guy like Cam Davis over Blake. If you're going to throw that pass like that, I'd rather have a guy like Kristen in there to catch that pass. But, you know, that's like a personnel thing, and the staff feels differently about him versus the other backs than I do. But I don't really necessarily have a problem with the play call, because we weren't going to pound the ball in against that defense the way the offensive line was playing that day. So I was fine with it. It was a nicely designed play. It was going to work. It was a decent pass in a good spot where he should have caught it, but he didn't catch it. And, you know, it happens.
No, Dan, that lineup that they had in there was their jumbo package, basically, because there were no real receivers out there, all tight ends, fullbacks, and then Blake back there is that 4th receiver on the right. So, I mean, they were trying to catch UCLA off guard with the personnel, right? Like, oh, what are they doing? They're splitting the receivers up. But I mean, did you agree with that play call? I know you and,
I think
you and James
at the
have similar
time,
thoughts.
I mean, I wanted him to quarterback sneak 3 times, like James had said. But at the time, from where we're sitting, I hated it. Then I went back and watched the replay, and the kid is just wide open. It's just a beautiful play call. And we talk about, oh, that's not Aztecs football, and you're right. But I think we kind of want to get away from some of this, what's Aztecs football, right? We want to be able to pass the ball a little bit. We want to be able to be a little bit more explosive. Everybody complains, we're the most boring team in the world. So I think we got to be able to do things like that. And I saw a post about this on one of the websites, and I kind of had to agree. I can't think of like a team that uses walk-ons as much as we do. And we've had some successes like Jesse Matthews and stuff like that. But dude, let's get our big recruits that we land. Let's make them be some ballers. Like, where's Penny at? You know, like everybody was really excited when Penny was signed. So man, we need more talent.
If you watch the game on TV, they actually highlight the fact that we have so many walk-ons, and they brought up Jesse Matthews. They brought up different guys on the pass. Jack Browning was a walk-on, right? Coach Hoke was even a walk-on in his college days. So like they try to draw this parallel between, San Diego State, they really foster the walk-on type of guys on their team and really celebrating it. But there's that flip side to that, exactly what you guys are saying. Like, there should be that talent level that, generally walk-ons, not so many, are going to be able to leapfrog your higher recruits. So absolutely agree with that.
Real quick, Matt, I don't want to be known as walk-on you, honestly.
Right.
I want it should be almost. I want it to be almost impossible to be able to walk onto this team because we have such depth and we have such good players. That's what I want. I'd rather us be called as no walk-on you. Like, we're like, we want the best players.
A walk-on story should be a cool thing, like once every 4 years or so.
Yeah.
Like once in a blue moon, it's a big story. You found this walk-on who was a guy everybody missed on. Awesome. That's cool. It's a great story. But they shouldn't make up like the bulk of our offense, which they did on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, our backup quarterback, he's jumped our quarterback recruits, So I got to know what's going on. Like, why? Like, either we have the best walk-on recruiting you've ever seen in the world, or our high school recruiting for scholarship athletes is a miss.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. It's not a knock on these walk-on players. They're all fantastic players. I think we can all agree they all are fantastic players. They've earned their right on the team for their playing time. But my whole gripe, I would say this, and not to completely jump all over Martin Blake or anything, because I think he is a fantastic player. But when I look at the stat sheet and when I'm there in the game and I'm watching it, I'm wondering, why can't we run the ball? Why can't we move the ball? Keenan Kristen, he is obviously one of the very few dynamic playmakers, like you pointed out to, Dan. 9 carries. You're not going to get those chunk plays if you don't get him more opportunities. 9 carries. That's just not enough. I mean, we've seen him perform on the Pac-12 level with USC. He has the ability to break a long one, but you got to get him the ball. And 9 carries is not going to do it, guys. It's just not.
And let me hop in that. That's been an issue probably going on 5 years now, where they have too many running backs that they're subbing and using. Instead of going just 1 to 2 guys, let them get into the flow of the game. Like, they sub. We are 4 or 5 running backs deep last year. Like, dude, let's get our 2 boys. Let's go pound the ball. Let them get better.
Let them work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Washington was the last guy that they gave like the full number 1 guy load to.
I miss that.
Yeah, ever since that, it's been like by committee, and that can work sometimes. But I would rather see 2 guys that are the bulk of the carries. One guy is like your lead guy, and then the other guy to be kind of like the situational guy, the guy that is whether it's goal line or third down or last 4 minutes of the game kind of guy. You have a second guy who gets the next big bulk of carries.
No, the difficult part, I know we've talked about it a little before, is sometimes, right, picking up the pass protection as a running back. But, it's kind of like that same thing, having a receiver that's an excellent blocker. Like, if they're the best at catching and running, if they're the best at, running the ball and being elusive and breaking one for a long one, like, it's kind of hard to argue against that if we're going to be, deciding their playing time on strictly pass blocking or things of that nature, which I know there were some blown assignments. I mean, unfortunately, Moose had just a very, very spotty game. I mean, his numbers are showing 19 of 37, 3 interceptions. I mean, he was getting hit. He took a couple shots that, deke leaders. And, to his credit, he got back up. The offensive line, that defensive line was breaking through the offensive line, and he was paying the price for it.
That Josh Nicholson pass.
That was good.
What a kick in the nuts too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. I mean, dude, that's not even playing the perfect game for that reception. That reception is supposed to be counted on. That's supposed to be assumed. Like, that's one that's just, that's a touchdown. That's not playing the perfect game there.
And Aaron Taylor on the telecast noted that was something he saw them do in practice. They nailed it. But when it came to game time, you got to perform when that pressure's on and when you have that opportunity. And that's just, that's 6 on the board that you just left on the field.
Hey Aztec Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to our channel. And then stop on over to sonsofmontezuma.com, where you can find more SDSU sports news, articles, podcasts, and the most unique Aztecs-inspired merchandise in our original NIL shop. This year's Sons of Montezuma NIL team features quarterback Jalen Maiden, receiver Makai Shaw, running back Keenan Kristen, defensive lineman Garrett Fountain, and linebacker Cooper McDonald. With every purchase, you directly support our student athletes. So make sure to stop over at sonsofmontezuma.com today. Go Aztecs!
So essentially 2 touchdowns left on the field when this game is over. It would have made things way more respectable, way more exciting, but I think at the end of the day, we can all just agree they're a good team this year. They are a good team this year. I don't know how deep they're going to go because Pac-12 this year is a monster. When you got the likes of USC, Washington, Oregon, I mean, it's Utah, not even mentioning Utah. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for them in the conference, but things aren't going to get any easier. We're all making the trip to Corvallis up in Oregon. I know Dan's excited. I'm very excited. It's been over 10 years since I've been there, since the last Aztec game out there. I know it's been a long time since James has been out there. We've been planning this trip. They've got the new Reeser Stadium remodel, which looks actually really, really cool. I've been there that one time, and they have an excellent environment up there. I mean, it's similar to like what we saw in Utah last year, guys. They are diehard. They are loud. All you hear are chainsaw noises in the background and people yelling out, "Go Beavs." Like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Why not have a chainsaw just going on every single time you want people to get up on third down? So I'm looking forward to the whole environment, going out there to Portland, going out there to Corvallis, and seeing what it's all about. But this game, guys, it has the potential to be real nasty. James, how are you feeling?
Yeah, they have a really good offensive line, dude. So our defensive line, it's going to be that front 6 we have needs to really show up this game because they will just, and they're perfectly happy just running the ball down our throats if we're going to let it happen. So it could be like, remember back old Chuck Long's last year, that 70-7 game where New Mexico just kept running the ball all over us. It could be that kind of situation because their offensive line is so good. And on the other side of the ball, their front for the defense is pretty good as well. So it's going to be a struggle to run the ball against them. So they're just a really like solid, well put together team. That's going to be, it's a tall, as much as we had to play the perfect game to have a chance against UCLA. I feel like they're a better team than UCLA. They may not be as dynamic with playmakers at the skill positions, but the physicality they have is more more impressive to me than their explosiveness or big playability. They're just going to dominate people, and we could be in for a long one if our guys don't go to play.
Dan, before you jump in there, listen to this. Their receiving core, starting receivers, Josiah Irish, 5'11", 174. Anthony Gold, 5'8", 172. Silas Bolden, 5'8", 157. I mean, we're talking about some tiny receivers there, but these dudes are quick. They're fast. They got this running back, Martinez, I believe his name is, Damian Martinez, and of course the quarterback, the Clemson transfer. Help me out, guys. DJ Uigalele.
Good luck with that one.
Woo, yeah. I mean, we've all seen him playing at Clemson, and now he's there in the Pacific Northwest. What are you most concerned about in this game, Dan?
I'm more concerned about how long it's going to take to drive there, how long it's going to take to drive back. I'm there to witness a cool college town, watch the Aztecs play. Like I said, it's kind of like how I felt about the UCLA game. I have very little expectations. I just want to see improvement. That's it. Improvement. Let's get this boat, let's get the ship turned around, right? And let's do some things well. I want to see some things done well. A few stops here, maybe being able to run the ball. I want to come away and say, okay, no, I like us against Boise the following week. Let's look for an improvement. I don't need to go in and expect us to win or whatever. I just want to see how you say it's like we need to learn more about Ryan Lindley, right? What did you learn from this game? What can we do going forward? Defensively, there was a lot of miscues. How are we going to fix that? If we play solid and we can hang in the game, then maybe we have a chance. But expectations low, and I guess it's kind of crappy that my expectations are so low. I guess that in itself is maybe an issue. But I'm going to go there to have a good time, cheer the team on, and see if we can improve a little bit.
I'm not sure what exactly that's going to look like against Oregon State because I feel like they are better than UCLA as well. So it's going to be tough to gauge, but that Boise State game is going to be pretty heavy on a short week coming back into town. I think that's where it's going to all be at. They lost to UCF at home, or they were on the road? I can't remember.
They're at home.
Yeah, they were at home.
There's so many topics I want to bring up, but I feel like it's too early. Some people are saying, changes need to be made. I mean, we put out an article basically entitled, "The Aztecs Need to Regroup for Oregon State and Beyond." And I mean, that's all essentially the program can do right now, everybody, is, no changes are going to be made. We're going into the fourth game of the year. Like, if anybody's expecting sweeping changes, again, guys, you're going to be very sorely mistaken. Hoke is signed under his contract, I believe, until 2027, I want to say, 26, 27. So, I mean, that was coming off the heels of that 12-2 season, which feel about it however you want to feel about it, Aztec Nation. But as it stands right now, like there are not going to be any mid-season hires or changes like there was last year. That's just not going to happen.
It's too early to judge Ryan Lindley. 3 games into his career, you're going to judge him as an offensive coordinator?
If anything, if you want to have the discussion after the season, we can look back at J.D. Wicker and his decision to extend Hoke at that point. I mean, I think that's fair. I'm not sure that it was needed. So that's fair. But right now, dude, we just got to play these games and watch football and enjoy football, Everybody just wants everyone fired, dude. So it's like I don't even want to acknowledge it. It's stupid. And if anything, I'd rather take the high ground on it. But at the same time, we could still be critical of the coaching. Obviously, they decided to start a true freshman in the backfield against UCLA. Is that something that, looking back, was a good decision? Coaching, I mean, we can look at the coaching for sure. I just don't. The whole let's fire a coach. It's so annoying.
It's so dumb.
I mean, the whole point of this playing football thing is to improve every week, learn, grow, get better as a team. If it doesn't happen right off the bat, of course we're disappointed, but there's a lot of room to grow. These are young guys, and the staff, they deserve the chance to prove themselves. Before 4 games into the season, people start calling for heads. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think it just comes on the heels of the Pac-12 fiasco. Honestly, dude, everybody's just really frustrated, and they don't really know where to blame. There's not and it is that whole shit was frustrating, and it's still frustrating, and people are still pissed. And I mean, the best thing that the team could have done is be great to start these 3 games, and they certainly haven't been.
Kind of on the Pac-12 thing, did you see the Pac-2 won their court case against the rest of the conference?
Talk to me about that, because I'm not really knowledgeable on all that stuff. So break it down as if you're talking to a dummy like me.
So what happened was the rest of the conference that's leaving wanted to have a board meeting so they could vote on, supposedly just to keep the conference running, just to keep the lights on. But everybody kind of figured they were doing that so they could meet to dissolve the conference, so they could all keep their attorney credits and all the payouts and stuff like that. Because if they dissolve the conference, all the leaving teams will get to keep all their money from the conference. Well, the 2 teams remaining filed an injunction to stop that from happening, stop them from allowing to have board meetings, because they're not board members anymore. Once you leave a conference, like the Mountain West did with us, they kicked Adela off of the board. So there's Oregon State and Washington State were basically saying, how can you guys have a board meeting? You're not part of the board anymore. And so they filed an injunction and they got it approved. So the Pac-2 is alive for a little longer with all that money that the other teams are going to leave behind. So
what they did is they did a restraining order, because they were supposed to have a meeting on Wednesday. So they got a restraining order basically saying, hey, you can't have this meeting. Now, within the next 2-3 weeks, they'll have a formal court case deciding who is the decision makers really in the Pac-12. One of the interesting things I thought was crazy is that the schools leaving wanted the Pac-12 to pay for their transition into other conferences.
I saw that.
Wow. I mean, so that's when they're trying to dissolve the conference. They're trying to just destroy it, So we're fighting for Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah,
and that's in Corvallis. That might be kind of a cool dynamic, actually. To kind of be supportive of them in that regards and what they're going through, and then they could talk to us about, we were this close to being in the conference. It might be an interesting dynamic.
And I think the way it relates to us is that will be key if the Pac-2 want to try to keep the Pac-12, the Pac alive, and reform it somehow. It would, of course, most likely involve us. So that's like a reason to kind of pay attention to it a little bit. I wouldn't devote too much energy to it because it's court cases. It's out of everybody's hands. But it's like a little glimmer of possible hope at the future for this program.
Going to be interesting gathering together in Corvallis between Aztecs fans and Beaver fans, man. We're all kind of a little pissed off and a little ornery. But they got a lot of good things going for themselves up there. That stadium is revamped, remodeled. I know they're going to have a great time. Hopefully we'll have a great time up there. And, if there's any Beaver fans listening to this, because I know there were some Bruin fans checking in on the Sons of Montezuma this past week. If you guys spot us out there, don't be afraid to say hello. I got several inquiries from Bruin fans this past week checking us out and wanting to see what Aztecs football was all about coming into that game. So, guys, this game's going to be interesting to forecast. I mean, like we've already shared, we're not getting our hopes up too much, but when it comes to our Warriors of the week, we pretty much all got them wrong last past week. Definitely wanted to give Mekhi Shaw his due for catching the touchdown and muscling it in. And, he played tough. He got banged up out there, but he was powered through it. And of course, we already mentioned Zyrus Fiaseu or Fiasu, however you pronounce it. But he had a monster game, so he was definitely the defensive warrior of the week. James, who do you have offensively coming into this game? It's going to be very difficult to tell once again, but who would you put as your warrior of the week?
Jesus, man, it's tough after these first 3 games. There's really not a guy who's jumped out to take control of the offense yet. So I'm just going to go with the guy I went with in the first week and go with Mark Redmond.
All right, going back to the Northwest for him a little bit, so hopefully he'll want to show a little extra. Dan, who do you got offensive?
Good God. You know what? Okay, one of the things that was impressive was the separation that Josh Nicholson got on that play. You know, like he beat him. He beat him bad. And I guess something happened with Balin Brooks. Somehow he was supposedly didn't play or was suspended for that game. I'm not sure what happened. But, you know, man, if we could get some big plays from the wideouts, and Josh Nicholson is a speed guy, man, that's going on a freaking
going out on a limb.
Talk about going out on a limb. But yeah, with Josh Nicholson.
Okay, all right. Woo. Yeah, it's slim pickings. There's not a lot of momentum offensively coming in. So I'm gonna keep riding with Keenan. I'm gonna hope that they decide to give him some touches, because like I stressed, I mean, 9, you got to get him the ball in open space, some passes, however you can get him the ball. Just give him those opportunities. Same thing with like a Nicholson. I mean, okay, if he dropped the pass, but you got to go back to him. There's only one way to improve, is just you got to keep showing that trust and keep trying to attack and get it done. Defensive wise, James, who do you got?
Let me see here. I'm going to go with a guy who's kind of disappeared since the first game. I'm going to go with Cody Moon.
Yeah, Cody Moon might be a good choice, like especially dealing with those little wide receivers running all around. And man, that's actually a good call. I kind of forgot about him.
Maybe get a strip or something like that coming over across the middle. Yeah. Who do you got for defense, Dan? Who do you got?
You know what? I think so far Des Malone's had a really good season. He did really well against UCLA. Did good against Idaho. But the thing is, they're just not going to get the opportunities, you know. But he's my guy, dude. I love Des Malone, so I'm going Des Malone.
I like both of you guys' picks, especially with those little receivers. I get it. Man, interesting matchup against that big DJ Ugalele and their running back Martinez, because they took the Spartans to the woodshed, and then of course they hammered. Who did they just hammer? They
UC Davis.
UC Davis. Oh boy, why does UC Davis? I know they got a rich history, but I mean, do we really need that many California schools? I mean, Sacramento you could do away with. UC Davis, no.
We need more California schools, man. That's the problem.
You think so? Wow,
yeah.
About that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna go with Cyrus. I'm gonna go with Cyrus again, man. He really impressed me. You know, he's played very, very, very hard all season long so far, and this past game just really stood out. That heart and determination he played with, despite the fact we were down so early, so much. I mean, he was all over the place. You saw that ponytail flying. It reminded me of Jake Feely days, man. The dude was just hitting and in everybody's face. There's this one play, they got a perfect still shot of UCLA guy just actually bear hugging him on that 4th down run that they ran in for the touchdown. It's like that was the only way to get him out of that gap, was to bear hug Cyrus. I mean, they didn't throw a flag. Of course not. But I'm going to roll with Cyrus. That's my guy. I don't even want to touch the score predictions this week, guys. I don't want to do it. I really
Why? Because you don't want to be real, dude. You don't want to be real, man.
Oh man, I don't want to get too ugly, man, because I'm in your camp. I'm in your camp this week, Dan.
But sometimes
I'm not expecting a win.
You know what, that lady that always comes and hangs out that talks to James a lot, Debbie and her husband. No, she said
Debbie Freeman.
No, she said to me, she's like, dude, you know what? I like that you pick the way you do, because it doesn't let me get overconfident, you know. So she doesn't get crushed. And, you know, if we like, dude, maybe we could lower some expectations sometimes on these weeks too. You know, like these people think that we should win every game. At least we can acknowledge that Oregon State's a pretty good team. Something special is going to happen for San Diego State to win. And, you know, It is what it is.
I think at this point, all these games coming up are all uphill climbs. I mean, it's very steep. We're going to have to play. We're going to have to improve very greatly if we want to beat Boise, if we want to beat Air Force. I mean, these are teams last year that were above us in the standings. Oregon State, for sure. I mean, they're head and shoulders above anybody in the Mountain West, for sure, and that's including us. So as far as score prediction, I don't know if I can give an accurate score prediction. You know, I still have a lot of question marks, but I don't see a win. I definitely don't. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked.
God, well, we'd be partying in Corvallis if that happened. Forget driving back to Portland, dude.
We might get arrested in Corvallis if they won, dude.
Might have to ride down the river on a canoe somehow. Well, guys, I don't know if there's anything else we need to cover on. I mean, we try to address as many issues, that the aftermath of this loss to UCLA has brought up amongst the fan base. That if there's one thing I wanted to do is kind of touch on some of those topics and, just, hey, it's a long season, guys. There's still the conference ahead of us. And that's the unfortunate part of, being in a non-power conference is these early out-of-conference games. If you lose one, okay, it's so deflating out of conference loss. But, there's still plenty ahead to improve upon and play for the conference championship still. If any of you guys are making your way out to Corvallis, definitely connect with us. Let us know maybe some spots that we need to check out. I know Dan's been doing his research on all the cool bars and restaurants and, sightseeing stuff that we could check out as tourists. So if you guys got any recommendations, definitely leave them in the comments down below. And hopefully you like and subscribe to our page after this, because there's going to be plenty more this season. Guys, any parting shots on the way out?
Nah, man, I'm just excited for this trip. I'm ready for Thursday to come.
Yeah, I am too, dude. I'm really excited. I think Thursday, dude, we could get there and just try to hit up a whole bunch of these local spots, dude. Go walk around and see what's going on.
I want to show you guys Providence Park, where the Timbers play down in Portland. That's actually a really cool little venue they have. That's going to do it for the Sons of Montezuma podcast on this episode. We're definitely going to meet up again with Coach C before we take off to Portland and get his thoughts on what is it going to take for an Aztecs win. And, well, are the Aztecs going to lose if they do this? And we'll be taking a look at some of that film of Oregon State. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you guys are checking out sonsofmontezuma.com for all our NIL shop goodies and more articles and podcasts coming on the way this week. We will see whoever we see out there in Corvallis. On behalf of the guys, Dirtball Dan, K5 James, Mateo San Diego signing off. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
I'm an Aztec warrior.
Later.
Grind.
Yo, 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 yo.